What if the thing that has been destroying you from the inside was never actually your enemy? What if that voice in your head, the one that tells you you're not enough, the one that wakes you up at 3 a.m. with anxiety, the one that makes you freeze when opportunity knocks, what if that voice was not trying to kill you, but was actually waiting for you to finally turn around and face it? What if your greatest demon was never something that happened to you, but something living inside you, growing bigger every single day you chose to look away? What if I told you that the most powerful warriors in human history were not people who had no fear? They were people who learned to walk straight into their own darkness, eyes open, heart steady, refusing to run. What if everything you ever wanted, peace, confidence, success, love, purpose, was sitting on the other side of the one conversation you have been too afraid to have with yourself? What if today is the day you stop running? What if today is the day you finally turn around, look that demon in the eyes and say, I see you, and I am not afraid anymore. That is not weakness. That is the beginning of everything. What if the prison you are living in has no walls, no chains, no guards, and the door has been open the entire time, but you were too terrified to walk through it? There is a monk, a warrior, a teacher, someone who has spent decades inside ancient monastery walls, training the body, sharpening the mind, and diving into the deepest waters of human consciousness. He did not learn his wisdom from a book. He did not read it in a classroom. He earned it through sweat, through silence, through years of sitting alone with the most uncomfortable truths about himself, refusing to look away, refusing to escape, refusing to let comfort rob him of clarity. He chose the hardest path, not because it was romantic, not because it looked powerful from the outside, but because he understood something that most human beings spend their entire lives running away from. He understood that the demon you are afraid of is not outside you. It is not in your past. It is not in your circumstances. It is sitting right here, right now, inside the chest of every single person breathing in this moment. And it feeds on one thing and one thing only: your silence, your avoidance, your refusal to look it directly in the face. This teacher stood before thousands of people and said something that shook the ground beneath every comfortable lie they had ever told themselves. He said that most people are not living their lives. They are managing their fears. They are not building. They are hiding. They are not choosing. They are reacting. And the demon grows bigger in the dark. The demon grows louder in the silence. The demon becomes a monster not because it is powerful, but because you gave it the greatest power any enemy could ever receive. You refuse to acknowledge it exists. This man trained for decades in disciplines that break ordinary people in the first hour. And what did he discover at the end of all that training, all that discipline, all that silence and suffering and relentless self-examination? He discovered that the strongest human beings are not the ones who never fell. They are the ones who fell, sat in the dirt, looked up at the sky, and instead of blaming the road, they looked inward, found the truth, and stood back up with something they did not have before they fell. They stood up with understanding. They stood up with power. They stood up with a relationship with their own darkness that transformed it from an enemy into a compass. That is what this teacher gave the world. Not a technique, not a formula, not a 10-step program sold in a glossy package. He gave the world a mirror, and he said, look into it. Do not look away. Do not flinch. Do not dress it up or make excuses or tell yourself comfortable stories. Look into that mirror and see yourself, your real self, the one underneath the titles, underneath the achievements, underneath the masks you wear for the world every single day. Because the demon you are running from is not your failure. It is not your mistakes. It is not even your trauma. Your demon is your truth that you have been too afraid to face. Think about that for a moment. Think about the last time you made a decision from fear. Think about the last time you chose comfort over courage. Think about the last time that voice inside your head told you to stay small, stay safe, stay silent, and you listened. Not because it was right, but because it felt easier, because the alternative of actually standing up, turning around, and walking toward the thing that terrifies you most, felt too painful, too uncertain, too dangerous. But here is what this teacher understood at a level that goes beyond philosophy, beyond theory, beyond motivation. He understood it in his body, in his breathing, in the stillness of 10,000 hours of meditation. He understood that the pain of avoidance is always, always greater than the pain of confrontation. Always. The demon you run from today becomes the cage you live in tomorrow. Every time you look away, it takes another piece of your life, another opportunity, another relationship, another dream that died quietly in the night because you were not willing to face the fear that stood between you and its realization. This teacher did not stand before his students and say, "Be brave, it will be easy." He did not offer them false comfort. He did not say the darkness goes away. He said something far more powerful. He said the darkness becomes your teacher the moment you stop running from it, the moment you sit down in the middle of your own suffering, your own confusion, your own fear, and you say, "I am going to understand you instead of escape you." Everything changes. Not because the demon disappears, but because you do. You become someone different. You become someone who has looked into the abyss and did not break. And that person, that version of you who has faced the demon and is still standing, that person is unbreakable. That person cannot be manipulated by fear the same way. That person cannot be stopped by the same voice that used to paralyze them at every crossroad because they know the voice now. They have sat with it, they have examined it, they have asked it the hard questions, and they have discovered that underneath all that noise, underneath all that terror and self-doubt and paralyzing anxiety, there is a frightened, unprocessed version of themselves that needed not to be defeated, but to be heard, to be understood, to be integrated. This is the warrior's truth, not the Hollywood version, not the version where strength means never feeling pain. The real warrior's truth, that you go through the fire, not around it, that you face what you fear, not because you are fearless, but because you understand that fear is a signal, not a sentence. Fear is pointing you towards something important. Fear is saying, here, right here, this is where your growth lives. This is where your next level of existence is waiting. This teacher lived this truth. He breathed it. He taught it with every word, every silence, every deliberate pause that made his students sit with discomfort long enough to discover something real about themselves. He understood that a comfortable life and a meaningful life are almost never the same thing, and he chose meaning. Every single day he chose meaning over comfort, truth over convenience, and depth over the shallow satisfaction of an easy existence. Now the question is not about him. The question has never been about him. The question is about you, right now, in this moment. What is your demon? What is the thing you have been circling around for months, maybe years, maybe your entire life? The thing you cannot quite look at directly. The thing that makes your heart rate spike when someone gets close to it in conversation. The thing you buried under distractions and achievements and relationships and substances and noise. What is the name of your darkness? Because it has a name. And somewhere deep inside you, you already know what it is. You have always known. That is why you have been running so hard. You cannot run from something you cannot identify. The fact that you are running this fast means you know exactly what is chasing you. And here is the most important thing this teacher ever said, not in any lecture, not in any recorded wisdom, but in the simple, undeniable truth that his entire life represents. You are bigger than your demon. You were always bigger. The demon only seemed enormous because you were looking at it through the lens of avoidance, through the distorted glass of fear. But when you turn around, when you actually stop, breathe, and face it, you will discover something that will change everything. You will discover that it is not bigger than you. It never was. It was waiting for you to realize that. It was waiting for you to stop running. It was waiting for you to finally completely, with your whole heart and your whole mind, show up for yourself. And the moment you do, the moment you turn and face that demon, something ancient and powerful in the universe recognizes that moment. Something shifts, not just in your psychology, not just in your behavior, something shifts in the very fabric of who you are, because you become the person who faced the demon and won, not by destroying it, but by understanding it, by transforming it, by taking what was once your greatest source of suffering and making it the foundation of your greatest strength. That is the journey. That is the invitation. That is the only real question life is ever asking you. Will you run or will you face it? This speech is not about inspiration. It is about confrontation. Every single key note, every word, every idea spoken here has pointed to one singular, unavoidable truth, that the life you want is not being blocked by your circumstances. It is not being blocked by other people, by bad luck, by missed opportunities, or by the unfairness of the world. It is being blocked by the one conversation you have refused to have with yourself. The demon is real. The avoidance is real. The suffering that comes from running is real. But so is the freedom that waits on the other side of facing it. The teaching represented here, built through years of discipline, silence, and radical self-examination, shows us that the warrior is not the person who feels no fear. The warrior is the person who feels all of it and walks forward anyway. Your demon is not your destiny. Your demon is your doorway. Face it, walk through it, and discover who you were always meant to become. To every single person who watched until this very moment, thank you. Not just for your time. Thank you for your courage. Because sitting with this kind of truth, even for a few minutes, takes something real. It means some part of you is ready. Some part of you is tired of running. Some part of you is standing at the edge of that confrontation and feeling the first sparks of genuine readiness. Trust that part, feed that part, let that part lead. You are not alone in this fight. Every human being who ever achieved anything worth achieving had to face their demon first, and you are next. Good luck, not the kind that falls from the sky, but the kind you create when preparation meets courage, when honesty meets action, when you finally, completely stop running and turn around. That good luck, the only kind that lasts, is already inside you. Go find it. Go face it. Go become it.